Woohoo! And I'm live once again. And where am I now? Where is Gillian? On the move, always on the move. So I am live on location in London, actually 20 minutes away by train. And I'm at my cousin Rhiannon's house in Kent. And I'm happy to be here with you all today to continue to share my adventures and my story as I'm being this traveling all around England and just having an absolute blast. So I wanted to kind of share something today about what I did today, and then kind of what were the takeaways for me, and how does this apply to LinkedIn? Because I don't just want to go live for the sake of going live. I always like to share a particular lesson. I hope I'm coming through. I hope everybody can hear me, and I'll just act as if. And by the way, still got two hands. My arm is getting better and better each week, which is good. Although I'm still being very, very careful with it as I go through. So, where did I do today? So, today I went into London. I'm back in Kent for a little bit, got back here yesterday. So, I've been back here a day. And today we went, and it was my husband, Devin, and I, and my cousin Rhiannon, and my sister Janet, who flew in from Kansas City. So she's over here in England too. We all took the train and went down into London today, and we went and did the sightseeing stuff, and we did like the touring. So we got to go on the London Eye, which was like fabulous. Never had done that before, and you just get an awesome view. And I am convinced that I am the sun god, in that I am traveling through England, and everywhere I go, there's sunshine. So I think I brought it from Las Vegas. So they were predicting 65% chance of rain today. We didn't get any rain at all. So that was awesome. So we did the London Eye, and it's like looks like a Ferris wheel, but it goes really, really slow. It actually takes 30 minutes to do the full rotation, to, like, starting at the bottom, and then it goes up to the very top, and then it comes back down again. And there's a lot of people that get in each pod. So you get in the pod, and then, you've got incredible views everywhere. But before we went on the London Eye, we actually did one of those sightseeing river cruises. So it's the Thames. And so we got on the tour and we went through, and it was a little chilly, so we kind of stayed underneath. But this was the best way to see London. You can do the hop on and hop off bus. And I've done that before, and it's a great way to see London. But I've never done the cruise before. So we went along, and we had this guy, David. I should hashtag David I've got to remember the name of the cruise. I got to go send him a recommendation, because he did a fabulous job of just bringing all his energy into telling us the stories behind everything that we're seeing on your right and on your left, and all these different buildings. But what made David such an awesome tour guide is that he shared these stories, and he shared sort of the, me, if you know me, I love the story behind the story. And he would go and he would tell us about the Parliament building, and that there was the House of Commons and the House of Lords, and these people sat here, and these people had their lunch here, and all the stories behind the stories, the little jail, Guy Fawkes when he was trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament, and all the different stories that went with all these buildings, ancient and new and everything in between. And as I was listening to David and I was hearing him tell all these stories, I couldn't imagine sitting here and just listening to a tape, just putting a tape on, and it's like just somebody blah, blah, blah. It was the energy of a live person telling you these incredible stories. And, one of the things I learned about was Waterloo Bridge, that it was built by women. And apparently, I guess, sorry, I'm a terrible person for details, but I'm thinking it was World War II that it got hit. Maybe it was during the Blitz, I'm thinking, and that the women got together and they raised the money to build the bridge, built the bridge themselves, and restored it. And he said, and it was like the bridge that came in on time, built on budget. And he says, we should have women building all the bridges. So I just thought that was a great thing. But it was just like, I wanted to learn more. It was like, oh, I got to go find out about the Waterloo Bridge women, because I'm thinking of like Rosie the Riveter in World War II, and women, how women stepped in and did jobs during the war. And then after the war was over, kind of said, I kind of like working. So that started to change things too. So I thought that was a fabulous story. So as I was listening to all these stories, I started thinking about LinkedIn. I started to, because LinkedIn's always on my brain. And I was thinking about the stories that people share on LinkedIn and how we get to know people through stories. And there is somebody who, when I ever think about storytelling, his name comes to mind all the time because he has been on my LinkedIn Live. He's a storyteller, and he's actually working on a book about secrets of a storyteller. And that would be Craig Allen. And he is my buddy up in Scotland. And I could not leave the UK without seeing Craig. And Craig was going to be coming to Uplift Live. He wasn't able to make it last minute. And so we weren't able to see each other. And I just thought, I have to see this guy. We have been talking for years and years and years. I met Craig when I was living in Israel. And I always said, when I come over to the UK, we will get together. We will go out for a pint. We'll have a pint of beer and we'll get to see each other. And so my little brain went to work and figured out, how can I see Craig if I don't see him at Uplift Live? So I had a little conversation with my husband and I said, I need to go to Scotland. And he says, okay, I'm in. So we figured out how to take a bus and a couple of trains, and we got up to Scotland. We went to Scotland for one day. And our one day, we got to meet Craig. It was like the most amazing day of my life. I'm going to get a little misty here because it was that wonderful to know somebody and be so just in love with them and know that you're going to have the most awesome experience. And that's exactly what it was. It was like Craig came to meet me at the hotel. He met Devin and I, took us, and he was our personal Scottish tour guide for one day and took us all over Scotland. And well, not all over Scotland, all over Edinburgh. And it was fabulous. And because Craig is a storyteller, everything he showed us had a story. And he would tell us the story behind this and the story behind that. And it was the most I said, Craig, you could bottle this up and sell this. Like, you just did such an awesome guide. So anyways, I thought I would share some of the pictures that I had. And this time I'm going to do a better job and actually explain them for anybody who's listening later or anybody who's kind of multitasking and doesn't want to look at the screen. But I wanted to share just some of the experiences of being with Craig, the most wonderful storyteller in Scotland by far. And then I also want to share a personal story, because I think the whole thing about storytelling is that when we share our stories, people get to know us and they really see who we are, and we remember stories. And stories are just the most wonderful way to connect us as human beings. And so that's why, as I'm here, I have literally been writing down every single thing that I've been doing in Scotland, England, wherever I've been writing every single day. I write down what I did, who I saw, because I'm going to forget this stuff. But by having my stories, I'll never forget. I'll never forget this awesome trip. So without further ado, let me show you. So yes, this is Craig. He's amazingly, so built. No, I'm kidding. I just took that picture for fun because it was just one of those ones standing outside. They want you to get in there and buy your Scottish kilts and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, no, that's not my first initial meeting with Craig, but it was just so funny. I had to take a picture of that. So if anybody's not looking, who can't hear, it's a guy, 6-pack abs with tattoos, and he's got a kilt on, and he's just so handsome. So this is me and Craig. And I just met him in the lobby of my hotel, and I came down the stairs. I felt like his queen. I was waving to him, and he just gave me the biggest hug, and I just gave him the biggest hug back. So that is when I finally got to meet Craig, and I'm so glad my arm was healed enough that I could hug him with both arms. So it was absolutely amazing to just see that. So that was just so wonderful. And so Craig's name is the Black Knight. So that's his LinkedIn tagline. That's the name of his company. Different mindset. The theme of the Black Knight. So when I saw this Black Knight, I said, "You must hop in the picture, and I'll take a picture of this Black Knight and you, Craig." So I got this wonderful snap of Craig and this Black Knight. I just absolutely loved it. So here is my favorite thing that Craig did. So Craig and I have both had the misfortune of losing our beloved animals. So mine was Max and Craig's was Marvin. And when Craig lost his dog, he was completely gutted. And he shared that story on LinkedIn. And you might say, "Oh, LinkedIn's not Facebook. You don't share this." But Marvin was his like mascot. Like Craig had photos of him and Marvin. It was an incredible thing to always see him. And he loved this dog. So when Marvin passed, he was just so sad. And he actually wrote a post. He told people what happened. And the outpouring of love from the LinkedIn community, myself included, because I hadn't lost Max yet, we all shared in that with us. So Craig, this big guy, being vulnerable about losing his dog was an amazing uniter and brought us all together. He even had some of his contacts were sending him personal gifts and cards, and oh, just how we can get support from our community by doing this is amazing. So then, of course, I lost my dog Max, and I actually didn't share that on LinkedIn because it was too raw for me. It was too painful for me. But I have shared it with a few contacts, and people know how sad I was, and so I did mine kind of more privately. But people did know, and I still have a picture of Max on my phone. Like I can't let Max go. Was a wonderful dog, and so Craig said when part of our tour in Edinburgh was to go, I got to read his name so I don't mess it up. Glenn Friars Bobby. And this was a story of a little dog that when his master died, he was such a loyal dog. He just stood at the grave, and he just stood at the grave and would not leave. And so the people, sort of like the LinkedIn community helping Craig, all the people in Edinburgh would come and they would bring food for the dog and water for the dog. And he just stayed at the grave for 14 years. And it was like, oh my gosh. And so afterwards, when the dog finally passed, and like the dog has an incredible memorial, set up in the cemetery. But at that spot where he stood, they made this memorial that you see. And it's a little black statue of a little black Scotty dog. And you'll notice that there's something kind of off with his nose. It's like the paint's worn off. And it's because people touch his nose for good luck. And so, I couldn't reach. It wasn't tall enough to tap his little nose. But it was just so heartbreaking. And it was such a beautiful story. And I absolutely loved this story, and that Craig shared it. And it was like my favorite thing out of everything that we did. And I think the very fact that we had both lost our beloved dogs, and we could share this moment together of the loyalty of dogs and how much we love dogs. It was my favorite thing that we did. And I absolutely loved it. And then always be marketing. I noticed right behind the statue, the memorial, is a pub called Greyfriars Bobby. See, I screwed it up. Greyfriars Bobby. And there's a pub right behind it. So of course, what do? You want to go in the pub that has this cute little dog on it. So it's like, that's good marketing. So somebody who went ahead and put that pub there. They were very, very smart. And speaking of pubs, this was our final goodbye. This was our last call, our last drink together. We raised a pint, and we raised a pint to Jeff Young because Jeff had given me some beer money, and I bought Craig a pint, and I said, "This is to Jeff." And so, Jeff Young, you were there with us in spirit, and there we are, raising a pint to you because we just So love you. So love you. So there we are in the bar, and all the bars in Edinburgh are amazing. So we went to a few. It was very fun, but it helped break up all the walking because our feet were getting very tired. So you get tired and thirsty and you just have a pint. So it was absolutely amazing. So I want to share one last story, but I want to stop and take some comments first. And then I want to just share a personal story that happened to me here in London yesterday. So let me go over to my comments and see, I haven't even got the banner up today. So I'm so out of it that I don't even have. This is my banner today, live on location in London, England, Kent. So I'm 20 minutes out by train. These trains are amazing here. Okay, so let me go. So thank goodness I see comments because it means I'm not talking to myself here. So we have Jeff Young, yay! So he says, you are so busy. I cannot keep up with your travels, Gillian. You need a holiday from your holiday. It's feeling like that. It's feeling like that. And actually, I'm off on holiday tomorrow. We're taking the train to Devon. So we're now going to another part of England tomorrow. So stay tuned for when we go to Devon. Tina's here. Yay! Greetings from Belgium. So again, Tina and I just had such a great time together, and it was just so wonderful to meet you in person, Tina. I cannot wait. There's talk of maybe her coming over to Vegas. So we'll see if we can make that happen. So that was wonderful. We have Jeff again. Hugs to you and Janet Eli. I should have brought my sister in. I'll do that next week. I'll bring my sister in, and we'll get her in on this too. Thanks, Jeff. Michelle says, hi, Gillian from Florida. So I got my Florida friends in the house today. And it's funny, I sent Michelle a picture from the National Gallery, and it was Van Gogh's sunflowers, because she's so yellow. She just she owns yellow. And so when she saw that, although I guess you would have to share it with Momita. So I should have shared it with Momita because she's always doing yellow too. But it made me think of you when I saw those flowers. So love that painting. Like the Las Vegas Eye. Yes, I've never been on the Las Vegas Eye. So I'm going to have to go see that. I can't believe I'm from Las Vegas. I've never been on the Eye. But it's probably one of those things, unless you do it as a tourist, you don't see, you just don't think to do it. So Sebastian, Mr. Seb says, oh my God, thank you. I would have missed this if it hadn't come into your profile. So thanks. Yeah, I was like so busy trying to catch the train this morning that I didn't put my banner up until, like, I don't know, 40 minutes before I went live. So it's just crazy. So, okay, looks like Jeff Young told them, Gillian is doing this. Yes, so nice to see you here, Seb, says Jeff. And Jeff says, woo-hoo-hoo, great that you got to see Craig in real life. It was just amazing. Michelle says, what a story to see Craig in Scotland. And it's like, it's the perfect place. It's the perfect place for him. And he's like the poster child for Scotland. He's absolutely, hello, London. Yeah, we got Lois in the house, and Lois was in London a week ago herself. So we're all like trading places. Great pick up, the two of you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Michelle. Jeff says, nice beard, but not Craig. There he is. That's my Scottish buddy. That was my funny pose of the buff guy, of the Outlander guy. Beautiful story. Thank you, Michelle. Marcia says, hey, Gillian, Whitney, hi. And then Jeff says, sniffle, such a touching story with the little dog. Oh, it's just an amazing story. I just love that. I love that. Thank you for the picture. I will always treasure it. Yes, and we sent him a little video as well, because video is awesome. And by the way, shout out to Ella Orr, because when we were at Uplift Live, Ella suggested we make a little video for Jeff because we were missing him. And Tina and Ella and I made a little video, and we sent it to him, and we called ourselves Jeff's Angels. So kind of like Charlie's Angels, we were Jeff Angels, and it was sweet. It was sweet. Michelle says, thank you for that. Oh yeah, it was, you are sunshine flowers. So, just so you, Michelle. Love that you are living your best life. I really am trying to live my best life and make use of everything, every minute that I have here. It's like, I don't think I've slept. and the funny thing is that when we went to see Craig, we took the bus and the trains and all that. And we started, Saturday morning, we were in Cromer. So we were in Norwich. And so we had to go here and take a bus. And everything was just like, we couldn't miss anything. And there's like rail strikes going on here. So each and every part of the journey was like, is this going to be canceled? And we'd hear them make an announcement that like, oh, okay, the train to London has been canceled. And there was like no, no other train. It was just like all these people going, guess we're not going to London today. And everything just worked for us. So anyways, we got into Edinburgh on, I guess, Saturday night. And it was like, probably like maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. And we were so tired. So we got some fish and chips, went to our hotel, and then we spent all day Sunday with Craig. And then we got on a bus at like 10 o'clock at night, and we took an all-night bus from Edinburgh to London. And it was like, that was the longest bus ride ever. It's a long, long ride. And then, they stop. It's like a milk run. So they stop here, and then, you get out and you stretch and you get back in the bus. And so we got into London at 7:30 in the morning. I did not realize that London on Easter Monday is like, it's like nothing was working. You couldn't find the trains, and we got it all sorted, but it was a journey and a half. That was for sure. That was for sure. So let me share my last story with you all. So let me go over here. So there's Craig. Okay. So yesterday, this is where I went. So this is me sharing a very personal story. So I hope it's okay. So my other people might have heard me talk about my great grandmother, Mary Jane Skeen. That was her maiden name, and she became Mary Jane Finley because Finley is my maiden name. And then she married again and became Mary Jane Easley. And she was born and raised in Scotland. She's from Aberdeen, and she's kind of like, if you think about your family and you think about who are the giants that influence you and your family. And she influenced me because she became a widow when she was in her early 20s. And my great grandfather, he died, and she had two little kids. And instead of just staying in Aberdeen with these two little kids, and they were like, sort of 10 and 8, she decided she would just go to Canada. It was just like, she went by herself, and she booked passage on a boat, went out of Glasgow, and sailed across and got to Montreal. And then she took a train all the way to Winnipeg, and she got to Winnipeg, Canada in like 1912. And she was there. She tried to start like a bed and breakfast, and she did this by herself with nobody to help her. And it was just amazing. But she had misfortune. Her daughter got sick. And there was like just so many, it was almost like a COVID. It was like a terrible flu that kind of happened in 1912 all across the world. Anyways, her daughter got sick, ended up dying. Mary Jane got sick, and she was in the hospital. And I don't know what happened to my grandfather, because my grandfather he was only like 8 at the time. And somebody took him in. And then when she got out of the hospital, she had to work, and then she took her son back home to Scotland. And then when she got to Scotland in Aberdeen, instead of just staying put, she said, well, where am I going to go now? Does this sound familiar? Does this kind of sound like me? And so she decided that she would go to London. And so she found herself a job in London, moved to London, she married a man. After she got here, she got a job as a housekeeper or something like that, married this man, and he was a widower, and they got married and this and that. And she ended up dying when she was like 56. And, people just didn't live as long then. But it's like, if you see the pictures, I look so much like her. She had this curly hair like me. And I just think of her strength of being able to do things like this, back in the 1900s, to move to Canada sight unseen. And it's kind of interesting because like Canada's where I'm born. So anyways, I went to Winnipeg a couple months ago with Janet, my sister, and we went and found her daughter's grave. We found Molly, and Molly is the one that died in Winnipeg. And we decided we were going to find her grave because we realized no one had ever gone to see her again. And we just felt somebody needed to go and remember her and just say, your life mattered. Your life mattered. And so we went, we found her, we laid flowers at her grave, and it was just a wonderful moment. And then yesterday, Janet arrived from Kansas City. So she took 2 flights. She got here, and Rhiannon, my cousin, we went to go pick up Janet at Heathrow Airport, and then we said, hey, we're just going to go on a road trip. And we took Janet after all this long flight, and we went to the Chingford Mount Cemetery, and it's on the outskirts of London. It's near Waltham Abbey, if people know that part of London. And we found her grave. So we found Mary Jane Skeen, who became Mary Jane Finley, who became Mary Jane Easley. And we found her grave, and we left flowers. And it was just a very poignant moment to do that. And the reason why I'm sharing that story is because I think our stories matter. And I think we should all share our stories. And that's why you have to write down your memories, and not just for business, but for your personal stories about life. And if you are toying with a book in your head, I am encouraging you to get it written. You know, that's another gift that my father gave to me. Is my father decided he would write a book for our eyes only. This was not a book for Amazon. This was a book for our family. And he wrote the story of how the Finley family went from being in the England, in the UK, and how we got to America. And he wrote this because he said, one day I won't be here, and you'll all want to know this story. And he wrote it down, and it took him 2 years. And he wrote all those personal stories, and all the stories that I just mentioned of my grandmother, he wrote in the book. And he has pictures in the books and drawings in the books and letters. Remember, people used to write letters, and he had scanned copies of the letters. And that book, my father's passed. He passed 2 months after he was done. And he actually asked my husband, Devin, would you please get this printed? He made 4 copies, hardbound 4 copies, and then he burned for the grandchildren a copy on CD. So each grandchild has their own copy of the book. And he said, it's up to us to write the sequels. We are continuing the story. And I think that's an amazing thing. So this is my challenge to you. If you have a story in you, write it down. Get those stories out there. Get that book written that you've been rolling around in your head forever, because your stories are you and they matter. And, you know, just going back to that tour guide today, just going through London and seeing this building and this building and this building, that doesn't matter. But when you hear Waterloo Bridge, and you hear the London Bridge when it was too wobbly and all that, I might be mixing up the bridges, but it's like all the stories of the bridge, of like how, you know, the Tower Bridge is not the same as, you know, the Tower of London and the Tower Bridge. They're different bridges, and all these different stories. They all matter. They all matter. St. Paul's Cathedral, the story behind that, and Christopher Wren and how it was designed, and it has 365 feet and all these different things. These backstories matter. So that's my challenge for everybody. Write those stories down. And if you have a book in you, get that book written. Okay, so I'm off my soapbox, but I think these things matter. And I think these things are things that we can bring to LinkedIn. So if you got an idea, you know, tell stories about when you meet people. And I told the story last week in a video about Niraj taking us for afternoon tea, which was like Tina's absolute bucket list of like, she goes, I really hope we can go for tea. He made it happen for us. And it was an amazing experience. So, okay, let me just hop over and see if we have any more comments. Okay, so we have, Michelle says, so glad you shared your beautiful story of your inspiring grandma. Yes, yes. And I have shared her story before. I've shared her story on podcasts, because when I was a chicken about going to Israel, and I was chickening out and going, oh, I don't know, it's too far. I know I won't know anybody. And, you know, you just get cold feet when you make a big decision, like, I think I'll just go move to a country sight unseen. And then I just went, you know what? I got that woman's, you know, chutzpah running through my veins. If she could do it, I can do it. So, you know, always look in your own family. Who inspires you? And share it with us. Write it with us. Tina says, Michelle, love this story. I'm all in tears. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make everybody cry. This is one of the most inspiring LinkedIn lives ever. Thank you, Gillian. Thank you. See, you take me away from a guest and I just get out of control and I just start talking about stuff. But I felt it all went together and just everything combined. It just I don't know. It's just kind of it felt right, the right thing to do. So I want to leave you all with this quote. I hope I can pull it up on my phone here. I found this wonderful quote. I wasn't quick enough to get it on the screen or anything, so I'm just going to read it from my phone. So this is by a guy called Jimmy Neal Smith. I have no idea who he is, but I really like this quote. We are all storytellers. We all live in a network of stories. There isn't a stronger connection between people than storytelling. And I just thought, oh my goodness, that so summed up my day, my trip, all the wonderful people I've been meeting, all the people I know on LinkedIn. We connect through stories. So please continue to share those stories because they help us all connect. Okay, so with that, I'm going to sign off. I'll be back next week. I'll be live on location in where I'm going to be, Devon, England. And so I have no idea what will be going on that day, but we'll see what that's about. And maybe I'll pull my sister in for that one. So we'll see about that. So, anyways, bye everybody, and have a good rest of your day. And thank you for stopping by and sharing today with me. Okay, bye.